This is Dayvin Sports Convo. It's me, Dayvin, and I'm happy for you guys to tune in to check out my NFL Week 3 recap. And as I break down players' top performances for each team, and, in the meantime, too, also, I'll be doing two birds, one stone, repping my first jersey I ever owned because it's what a great victory from the Lions. So happy, ecstatic, as we have a winning record. But yeah, check me out tomorrow. I'm going to do my second episode of my podcast, and I'm very excited for, as I'll actually do a more thorough analysis of each of the 32 teams and give you my power rankings. So check that out tomorrow morning. Other than that, let's get right into it. Okay, Monday night games just finished. Super happy about that. Now we can actually do this recap. But let's do this. All right. San Francisco 49ers last Thursday put a whooping on the New York Giants as the lone top performer for the Giants. Sole scorer of a touchdown was Matt Breida with 17 rush yards. Ooh, that was tough. But on the other hand, you had San Fran with Brock Purdy with 310 yards and 2 touchdowns. As they won the game 30 to 12. Yeah, wow. It was just one of those, I saw that coming from a mile away. Hopefully, the Giants can bounce back and get a win for the season soon. Now, let's get to what I really want to talk about: the Detroit Lions beating the Atlanta Falcons, as it was an amazing day for the rookie Sam Laporta, having 7 catches with 8 targets and 84 yards. Oh, my bad, not 8 targets, 11 targets with 8 catches. I was totally off on that. But with a touchdown as well. That was Jared Goff's sole touchdown of the day. And Bijan Robinson, and they had the clash with Jahmyr Gibbs. Bijan Robinson with only 33 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs with 87 yards. Definitely showed out. I mean, but both teams are playing different, scenarios based on O-lines and all that. Defenses were, everyone talks about the Falcons' run D being a little stingy, but the Lions' defense too is a little stingy. So poor Robinson, Brian Branch had his number. He had him locked down. They were even throwing flags because how hard he was hitting him. I felt bad for Robinson. But moving on from that, the Lions got a great win and excited for this upcoming Thursday night game against the Green Bay Packers at their home. And tune in on Thursday for me to go live, as I'll do my pick'ems prior and give you how I'm really feeling before the game happens. But I'm probably going to still feel the same. Like, we're going to come out on top. But yeah, let's move on from that. In the Minnesota, I got this wrong. Loss in a tight game to the Los Angeles Chargers, 28-24. Like I said, it was going to be a shootout. Keenan Allen with 18 catches and 20 targets, 215 yards. And then you had Justin Jefferson on the other end, doing his own thing every week, as he always does. 7 catches, 13 targets, 149 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, poor Minnesota. Now the trade rumors where Kirk Cousins started brewing. Oh, man, the New York Jets really want him. Let's get it going. Let's start the rebuild for Minnesota. Let's move on. Now, I picked this, but unfortunately Green Bay won against the New Orleans Saints. I actually watched the game with my cousin, and he's a diehard Saints fan. And, it was a tough blow missing that field goal. And the Derek Carr injury hopefully comes back soon. It seems to be 2 weeks from now, maybe 2 games, maybe 3 come back. But the 2-week window is probably the best to reevaluate him. But Jameis Winston, one of the best backups in the league. He's going to air it out, and they have the weapons for him to do so. And it's going to be exciting actually to see them going forward, because the defense is still going to be stout, and they believe in Jameis. He's a great teammate. And we'll see what's up. Green Bay going against us. And if they're playing against New Orleans Saints that way, and we just came out with a win over the Atlanta Falcons as we did, that's why I'm banking on the Lions to beat Green Bay Packers this coming Thursday at their home. They got their little home win. They barely scratched by. They got lucky. Jordan Love did show out his running ability with a rush touchdown, as he had a pass touchdown with 259 yards. Chris Olave did have a day, too, with 104 yards, 8 catches. And that was that's why I believe in Jameis to step right in and take over and have a great day. But as I said prior, let's move on to Houston beating Jacksonville at their home. I feel bad for them, but Houston they were ready. They were hungry. They wanted their first win of the season. Tank Dell had his breakout game of 5 catches and over 7 targets, 145 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, and C.J. Stroud, him and his connection with Tank Dell should carry this team they're in every game if they just keep that going. Trevor Lawrence, he showed out with 207 yards. He was the only bright spot of the team. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now let's go to some blowouts here. We got the Miami Dolphins with a historic day that hasn't been done since 1966 from the Washington team, as they had over almost, I didn't mean to say over, 70 points to 20, so 50 points more than Denver. It was just a beatdown, and they could have almost got the field goal to beat the record, and it was fantastic. Devin A-Chain had his breakout game, his best game of his career as a rookie, with 4 touchdowns, I believe, 2 reception touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 203 yards on 18 rushes. And don't forget about Mostert, who also had multiple rushing touchdowns, I believe 4 for the day. It was fantastic. Now, the bright spot for Denver, they did have Marvin Mims, who had a touchdown, and I believe Courtland Sutton also had a touchdown. But other than that, the defense looked horrid out there. Hopefully they can keep Patrick Surtain, and hopefully some team doesn't make them a dramatic offer, as he's the lone bright spot on that defense. But yeah, historic day for Miami. Tua looked like MVP. They had to sit him down. He could have racked up even more points for his bout for the MVP bid. But hey, I don't think anybody's gonna catch up to him based on the last 3 games that he's set a precedent for already. So very excited for the future. As we're gonna move on, we got Cleveland blowing out Tennessee. That was devastating, 27-3. I picked Tennessee on this one. I got it wrong. I usually pick against Cleveland even if they're gonna win. That's to give you that heads up. But Amari Cooper had a great day. 7 catches with 8 targets and 116 yards with the 1 touchdown. And then the only bright spot for Tennessee, as it was rough, was just DeAndre Hopkins with 3 catches and 48 yards. But yeah, Cleveland set out. They broke out. Let's see with the coming weeks if Tennessee can bounce back. That was tough to watch. Derrick Henry had a terrible day. But the game was rushed. I mean, once it starts getting passed by, it's hard to catch up, or at least to restart the run game or get it going if it hasn't already been established. But yeah, now moving on to the next blowout, we had Buffalo over Washington with 37-3. Stephon Diggs had 111 yards on 8 catches, and then that was a fantastic. Buffalo went out. Gabe Davis had his little shine on a touchdown. I was shocked Dalton Kincaid didn't break out yet, but soon we'll see that happen. I'm sure of it. Bijan Robinson was the lone bright spot for Washington, as he had 70 yards on, I believe, 10 rush attempts. It was hard. But, hopefully Washington can bounce back. Buffalo looks to regain its form and playoff form, and hopefully they can move on from this momentum into the next game. Also, we had the overtime victory for Indianapolis Colts over Baltimore. I'm shocked I got this right. It was based on, the 2 teams going to overtime. I was very lucky on this one. I felt like all day when I was watching the games that this one was the one I was like, oh my gosh. But overall, Anthony Richardson didn't play. It was Minshew Mania. It was fantastic. It was a great time. Watching Pittman had his great game. That was ecstatic to see. Zach Moss was rushing all over the field. I believe he had 122 rush yards for 30 rush attempts. They were feeding him. It was a great. I'm shocked Baltimore didn't seal it when they did. It was a great game to see top to bottom. Lamar had 100 rush yards and I believe how many pass yards he had? Oh, and 202 pass yards to make it 300 yards all together. And he had the multiple rush touchdowns. Looking like the best dual threat quarterback in the league again. And sucks they had the loss, but I'm sure they'll bounce back. And moving on to the next game, our last of the 1 o'clocks, we had the New England Patriots and the New York Jets battle it out in a key rivalry game. The New England Patriots came out top. Like I said, it would be a defensive battle with like one key offensive drive, and that one key offensive drive came from a player I don't know until yesterday. His name's hopefully I'm saying it right, Pharaoh Brown. 2 catches with 71 yards and a touchdown, the one touchdown of the day for New England. And yeah, it was a great game. If you were rooting for either of the team, I mean, they fought out. But yeah, New England came on top. And Garrett Wilson had 48 yards. That was the one bright spot. Bryce Hall had nothing going on. Hopefully he can bounce back. He has shown not much stride all season long. So now to the 4 o'clock games, which I got a perfect 3-0 spread. We had Carolina versus Seattle. Seattle came out on top, 37-27. And Kenneth Walker with 18 rushes, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Carolina had Adam Thielen break out with Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, slinging it to him over. And I believe he had let me check here, a 145 yards. Impressive, and a touchdown. So hopefully Bryce Young, when he comes back, or Bryce Young can actually know how to use him now, based on seeing the Red Rifle use him. Now he could know what's up, what's the keys to make him be usable. So it was impressive showing, even though in the loss. Then we go to the dumpster fire Chicago Bears, as they just let go, as I previously said, their defensive coordinator, which I still don't have much of a real report on of what the reasoning why. And the head coach is defensive-minded too, so you think it's more of an indictment on him as well. But yeah, as it shows, the defense was destroyed by the Kansas City Chiefs, 41-10. Travis Kelce was the bright spot. He had a touchdown, 69 yards. Jerick McKinnon had a nice little rush in there. And then DJ Moore finally had a touchdown for the season. Yeah, that was a reckoning. And it's going to be a long season for the Bears. Hopefully Justin Fields shines and develops as they take their lumps, or it gets traded. We'll see what happens. And then we had my wild card pick, Arizona Cardinals, come out on top over the undefeated Dallas Cowboys, 28-16, as James Conner had 14 rushes with 98 yards and a touchdown, and Tony Pollard with on the other end, he had a great day even though they lost, 23 rushes with 122 yards. Yeah, Arizona came out on top. They played to their strengths, and on the grass turf, it definitely was apparent difference for the Cowboys, as they're used to their Astro turf. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Compared to the grass that Arizona presented, even though Arizona sometimes usually has the turf out there, I was shocked. They're the one few stadiums that actually switch in and out. So. Yeah, that was a great of the 4 o'clock showings. A surprising day. Then we had Pittsburgh that came out on top. Las Vegas for the Sunday night primetime game on NBC. I almost pronounced his name wrong. Calvin Austin was the bright spot with 2 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. And Devontae Adams for the Raiders had a fantastic game with 13 catches, 20 targets, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Wow, and I can't believe they lost. I picked them to win, but hey, they put up a fight. Pittsburgh came on top. You got to give them their credit. Now for the Monday night games, they were, it was tough to see Philadelphia and Bucks. It was a slow defensive game in the beginning. Swift started separating the game on offensive end. A.J. Brown had his breakout game of the year. Or not breakout, but I didn't even say that. It finally had the game we all know he would have with 131 yards, 9 catches with 14 targets. And then on the other end, the Bucks for Mike Evans, he was their bright spot with 1 touchdown, 60 yards, 5 catches, 10 targets. Hopefully he reaches 1,000 yards this season, keeps up with the streak. But yeah, Philly came out on top at Tampa Bay home, ended the Tampa Bay's undefeated streak. It was rough. But yeah, Philadelphia remains undefeated. I wonder who actually gives them their first loss. We'll see. Now, for the other Monday night game, it was Cincinnati came out on top over the Rams. It seemed like it was just going to be a game of field goals, but it turns out at the end, we finally had some separation. Jamar Chase had his career game, 12 catches with 15 targets, 141 yards. And then for the other side of it, you had Tutu Atwell with the touchdown for the Rams, was the lone bright spot. Also, they called back one of his rushing touchdowns for 24 yards. That was pretty impressive. I'm shocked they called that back. But yeah, that could have been the difference in the game. That happened in the first quarter. But yeah, Cincinnati came out on top, and Joe Burrow remained healthy, which was great to see. But yeah, so that does it for our recap of games and top performers. I appreciate you guys checking this out. Check my podcast episode 2 tomorrow, as I'll be giving out my power rankings. And then I will also on Thursday be doing my going live and doing my NFL Week 4 game pick'ems. Very excited to do that right before the Lions take on the Green Bay Packers at Green Bay. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'm glad that my scoreboard so far is looking a little positive, and yeah, we'll see if that continues as the weeks go on with my predictions.